are your organisational skills? I need to be honest, I as much as I would strive to be better, I need folk around me that would push me and sometimes give me that not so gentle nudge to even just get my finger out sometimes. And so when preparing for today, I was struck by this passage in Luke, in chapter 22, where it talks about how in preparation for Passover, Jesus sends Peter and John, to get it organised. And I find that interesting. You see, this was going to be the last Passover meal that Jesus celebrated with his closest friends, and so he delegates it. I find that interesting. You see, the Passover meal was a time where the Jewish community would share the story and celebrate the story of the Passover, the story of the liberation of God's chosen people from captivity in Egypt. A story that amounts to this moment where the Hebrews are told to make a mark of blood above their door made from a sacrificial lamb so that God would pass over and not kill the firstborn sons. And all of this we can see foretells the story, but we sit and we go and look, Jesus is mindful of all of this, full of the weight of the story and sharing this with his best pals, and yet he is the Lamb of God, the one who comes to take away the sins of the world. He is the sacrificial lamb. And so, why did he send Peter and John in this really weighty moment? Luke seems to be quite specific that it was Peter and John in Luke 22, which I find interesting too. Only a couple of chapters before that, we have the story of the triumphal entry, and it just says that Jesus sent 2 of his disciples. Luke at that point could have been specific, he could have told us, but he wasn't. So why is it in this story that Luke chooses detail? Maybe it's because there is something about Peter and John that we need to grab. The name Peter in Greek, well, that sounds really similar to the Greek word for rock. That's why even in Matthew, when Jesus is talking to Peter and he says, yeah, you're Peter, and on this rock I'm going to build my church, there's a wee bit of this wordplay of, well, Peter, rock, rock, Peter, you get it? And then there's John. The name John means Jehovah, a gracious giver. What if, in this moment, Luke really wants us to get that Christ, our rock, the rock of our salvation, is not just a gracious giver, but is the gracious gift. The gracious gift, the Lamb of God that gave up his life for all of humanity. I really hope that today you can reflect and encounter Jesus as the rock of your salvation. I really hope that this Easter you can encounter Jesus as not only the gracious gift, but the gracious giver too. Thanks.